It's Bobbbaaaay, and we back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Today on the show, we got Scoobs. What's going on, my man? Oh, woo!
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
Clap
Happy
it
to
up.
Be here. Yeah.
How we doing?
You know, I'm good.
You feeling good?
Yeah.
Living the dream?
Yeah. I mean, trying.
Thriving. Trying, man. Thank you for coming in today, man. I appreciate you showing love and support to the podcast for the last couple episodes. I know you discovered me through Nolan. Shout out to Nolan Smith, Super Dude Nolan. How we doing, boy? So yeah, man, I'm glad we could get you on the podcast today.
Happy to be here.
We're about to really dig in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited.
I hope you are. I'm excited too.
It's gonna be a good.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening right now, put your seatbelt on because this is gonna be a bumpy ride. So let's get right on into it. Someone that's learning. Before we actually get into that, let's take it back a second. Who is Scoobs today, and how young is he?
Scoobs today, 24.
24.
About to be 25. A couple weeks.
Okay.
2 days after Christmas.
It's right there.
For all those Christmas babies, get gypped on presents.
Yep. My birthday was just 2 days or 3 days ago now, so close enough to Christmas.
Yeah,
close enough to Christmas.
Yeah.
You know.
24. I'm the creative director currently at Indie Pop Management and Independently Popular, which is their new record label with Atlantic Records.
Okay.
It's a joint venture. So that's gearing up to be a pretty exciting 2018.
That's dope.
2018 endeavor. And then I also outside of the music industry, I provide my services as Scoobs Supply.
Yep.
So kind of anything creatively that I want to do or do for other people kind of lives under that umbrella. So I mean that's Scoobs today.
That's what he's doing right now.
Living in beautiful LA.
Living in La La Land.
Yeah.
Grew up in the Midwest though.
Yeah.
Michigan. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's listening doesn't have a clue what Michigan is like. How would you describe it?
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's really cold. Actually, they just got a really bad snowstorm last night. All the schools are closed. My sisters are out.
Wow.
Enjoying that snow day.
What part of Michigan did you grow up in?
So I grew up in a really, 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 when I say really, I mean really small town. Called Manistee. The Stee, as we all called it in high school. I grew up in Manistee. It's a really small beach town. They call it the Victorian Port City. Mm-hmm. It's like everything, like all of the buildings are from that era. Like everything's like super preserved. Interesting to grow up there. Looking back at it and living in LA, and like I'm glad that I grew up there. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't grow up in LA.
Okay. I completely agree with you. I'm the same way.
Yeah. I'm happy I live here now. But I'm glad I didn't grow up here. Yeah. Don't make anyone too mad. But yeah, it's right on the lake. 1 to 2 stoplights. Connected.
Very quiet town.
Like, very quiet town. Everyone knows everyone. My graduating class was like 100.
Damn. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
100 people?
It was like 130 maybe.
Man.
Yeah. It was small. Really small. So yeah, I mean Michigan. I think most people probably have an impression of Michigan from Detroit. Mm-hmm. I think most people are pretty familiar with Detroit. And it is what you think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, the lakes are beautiful. Winters.
Flat.
Yeah,
it's very flat out there.
It's very there's not. I wouldn't call it a very exciting area, unfortunately. It sounds bad.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is, and I'm glad I grew up there. Not only because I think, to go back to saying I'm glad I didn't grow up in LA, right? Yeah. It's just you drive by the schools and it's like literally it's like they're playing on concrete.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I had like the big recess and the all of that where I could like go play, and me and my homies could go play football, and it was chill. But I'm also glad that I grew up there in the sense that like it pushed me to want like so much more for myself, because it's a small town and like you grow up and everyone's dad works at the local factory. Yeah. Like, and you kind of grow up with the idea that like that's what life is.
That's what it is.
That's what life is. You're gonna graduate and you're gonna go work at the factory. And I actually my freshman summer after coming back from college, I came back for the summer and worked there all summer, and that was like for me like the turning. I don't want to say the turning point. Like I had always known I wanted to leave, and kind of I knew I didn't want to stay. That was pretty much all I knew. I just knew I didn't want to stay. But that for me was like a smack in the face of like I'm not about to like. I mean, it was just such a mind numbing. Like you go in and you do the same thing every day. You see the same people every day, and like I was doing all of like the work nobody wanted to do. I was like shoveling like all of this nasty like dirt and mud and like cardboard and like up in like the hottest parts of the factory, like cleaning and repainting poles. And I was just like, man.
I just watched an interview right before you got here with Casey Neistat, and that's one thing he said was that you will quickly figure out what you want to do in life when you put yourself in the worst position possible, doing the things you absolutely 100%. Hate, things that you do not want to do. You quickly figure out, this is not working. What am I going to do now? Because I'm not staying here, and I'm not going to continue to do this.
No way. And as a creative person, I mean, it was like on another level too, because you're like, you're going in and you're spending 8 hours a day painting poles and curbs.
Yeah. You're all like, I'm all set with this.
I'm good.
Yeah. At least you saw that though, you know? You recognize this isn't for me. I need to figure out what the next thing is going to be. What was maybe one of the toughest situations for you as a kid, and what did you learn from it?
As a kid, I think up until I was like a junior in high school, I was kind of I was known for like basketball. I was really good at basketball.
Everybody that comes on this podcast is known for I swear it's basketball or it's a different sport.
The expectation was like I was gonna go play college basketball, not like at a big D1, like a small D2, D3, whatever. But that was the expectation. And up until like I was a junior in high school, I had a pretty bad falling out with the basketball coach. Because the varsity coach before, me and him were really close. He was like father to me. And he, more power to him. We got a better offer and he left. And the new guy we got was not a basketball coach. You know? He was a teacher who they got to fill the spot.
Oh, man. He didn't know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know anything about kind of and it was a small school, so even whatever. Yeah. But he didn't really know anything about the system or the players and the team, nothing about me. And it just kind of ended all bad. But it was okay because I switched to the swim team and was all state that year. So
all state? Okay. Young Michael Phelps in here, huh?
Yeah. We had a really good relay team. That was fun. So I had that falling out with my basketball coach, and I was just kind of like, and at that time too, I was like thinking, what do I want to do? Because I know I'm not playing in the NBA.
Not happening.
I'm 6 foot, $180 soaking wet. Like
it's not a chance.
It's not happening for me. Like I can shoot with anyone, but it's not happening. So what do I want to do? What am I good at? And I had always kind of kept pretty close to the vest that like I could draw. That was like I was creative because it was a small town. Like you immediately would become the weird kid, like
who's drawing in class,
who's just like, what are you doing? Like I remember being in like 4th and 5th grade and getting hella made fun of because I like Michael Jackson and like the Temptations.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so I just kept everything like that really close to the vest until I was a junior, and I kind of had that falling out, and I was like, I don't really give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
So I think probably the biggest lesson I learned, in being a kid, I guess, a teen. Really in high school, was like honestly, and I'm still learning this and still embracing this, but like to be yourself 100%, because it was like as soon as I was like, I'm pretty good at drawing, like, and everybody kind of found out it actually wasn't I didn't get the response I expected. Like everyone was actually cool and thought it was cool.
And you were nice. Were you good? Like, were you?
Yeah, that's how I got into school.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually I could draw and paint.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at drawing. So anybody that's ever been able to draw in front of me, I am like amazed by it because I cannot draw to save my life.
You could draw if you really.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to say I can't, but
most people think that they can't, and I don't believe that.
No, not at all.
No, I think you can. The problem with most people who think they can't draw is I was given really good advice one time in college. It was like most people, they draw what they think they know and they just don't draw what they see. Like in terms of angles, and because you have one perception of something, like, if I'm going to draw your microphone, it's like in my brain, I know what a microphone already looks like.
Okay.
So you draw that people who struggle with drawing will draw the microphone as they imagine that microphone to be, instead of being like, no, okay, it actually goes this way.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like break it down almost.
Yeah.
Like
really
the pieces of it.
Yeah.
How is this gonna look? Yeah. Add this instead of just drawing mindless.
What you think you know. Yeah. So I would
I'm gonna have to try this later.
You really try.
I'm gonna have to sit down and actually just try this at a different angle and see how that works out.
Yeah. But to your question, be yourself, man. Pays off.
Yeah. I mean that is, I guess, one of the biggest keys that I've seen from people across the board in the podcast is literally, even if people were looking at you differently, like why is he drawing? Why is he doing this? You just saying, screw it, like this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Was there a favorite class of yours in high school? Were you
I mean art. Yeah.
Art. I was gonna say, was there like
after I was like, yo, I'm good. This is what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
My senior year, I think I know one semester 4 out of my 5 classes somehow I finessed into being art classes.
Wow. So you were just loving life then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I was also a bad student.
What do you mean?
So me and that art teacher were pretty close. And he kind of knew, like, that I would get the assignments done, and they'd be dope, and it'd be whatever, and he wouldn't really pressure me too much to like be present. And I was a lifeguard at the pool at the time.
Badass.
Yeah, it was a fucking awesome job.
Probably a great job.
Yeah,
you're sitting by the pool all day, like in the sunshine.
So, yeah,
amazing.
Too many stories about that job, but
for another time.
Another time, it was connected to the gym.
Okay.
And so the 4 out of the 5, I had 4 art classes and 1 gym class. So I would leave my art room was technically 2 rooms, and I was the advanced kids were in the other room where the teacher wasn't.
Yep.
And so I would leave to go to the bathroom for extended periods of time, and what I'd really be doing is I'd just be cutting through the gym to the pool to kick it with all of my homies who were working.
Wow.
As lifeguards at the pool, as one does.
And they didn't say anything to you. They didn't. There's nothing they could really do.
Well,
you were getting your stuff done.
Yeah, I was getting my stuff done, and it was tight. And it was like, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you really gonna tell me? So that. Yeah.
As long as you're doing what you had to do, I mean, what's anybody gonna say to you? That's interesting. What's something that your parents taught you at a young age that you've carried with you? If there's anything that stands out.
My mom was always really supportive to the point of everything that I did.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what I did. I mean, if it was bad, she'd be the first one.
You're not doing
super
this.
Straight shooter, and I get that from her. Like, I'll tell you exactly how it is, like to a fault. Like, got me in trouble multiple times, but that's okay. But she was always really, really supportive of everything that I did. To the point that, like, I really believed whatever I thought I could do.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that was like something that I really, she taught me. It was like, we're all the same. There, no one's really as extraordinary or great. No one's that much, Yeah. Like, if you have a dream, you actually can do it, and you
just have to actually do it.
You just have to actually do it.
Yeah.
And put the work in, but if you really want it, you can go get it. Like, no one, everyone got to where they got, somehow they didn't wake up, and, Steve Jobs didn't wake up Steve Jobs, like we know.
Worked his ass off.
Yeah, like he busted his ass, and I mean.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest difference. That's what maybe a lot of people don't realize, and it took for me to sit back and actually think about it, was everybody is born on a clean slate. The background that they grew up in is one thing or another, but they had to work to get to that position. That Steve Jobs, that LeBron James, that whoever, like there was work that they put in.
If you want it bad enough, you can absolutely 100% attain whatever that thing is that you want. You just have to be willing to, like, when your homies are all going out on Saturday. It's like it's a super cliche thing to say, but it's the truth. It's like, when they're going out on Saturday, you're staying in and
fucking work.
Total tunnel vision on that one thing that you want. And if you do that, you'll get there.
Time and time, and you just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
That's an important to notice, because you can accomplish anything. I say it a lot. I try to say that a lot, and people think like, oh, you're just blowing smoke up my ass, or you're just trying to like be the motivator or something, but like you literally can do anything you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever it might be, you want to design a car, you want to be an engineer, you want to start a podcast, you just have to do it. You have to do the research, and you have to actually put in the legwork to get to that point. Yeah. But nobody wants to listen to the bearded man who tries to give some wisdom.
No, but there's preach.
Yeah. Your parents clearly raised you in the right way. You grew up, obviously, it sounds like, in a city that might not have been so busy of like huge opportunities, but still provided you as a place to become who you are. Yeah. What would you say is the one thing you are most grateful for about your childhood?
About my childhood?
Yeah.
I mean, the support from my mom was major.
Yeah.
And because it also takes, like, I'm a pretty hard-headed guy. Like, if I want to do something, I'll do it. But like I said, Manistee is small, man. Everyone, like, you get trapped in Manistee.
Yeah. It's probably hard to get out when everybody's just kind of staying in.
It's really hard to get out, and I mean, a lot of people are okay with that, and that's fine. Like, if you're happy and that's chill and like that's what you would enjoy. I knew that wasn't for me, and so I think, you know, with the support of my mom, obviously, like, I was able to get out and go to art and design school, which is, I mean, forever grateful for that. Yeah. And also just how small it was, and in that thinking of everyone there, that culture that's there of like staying, working at the factory, or, you know, working on River Street somewhere downtown, like, it just pushed me to want like, I knew I didn't, it's like such its own bubble that I couldn't do it.
Like, nah, I need to pop out of here.
Yeah. So I think that, I mean, how small it was, and just my ambition for so much more. You know, I'm thankful for that, because it drove me
to push yourself, to get out of that environment,
and figure out how I was going to do it. I mean, LA, you know, I've heard you say it. I mean, it's like you know, growing up in the Midwest, East Coast, like, it's almost like not even a real place to you. It's like this fantastical, you know, city in this state that is like only exists on TV and in the movies. And you just, you know, you dream of going, you just want to go. Yeah. Like, and so now to live here, you know, it was all about getting out. Yeah. And getting to California, which here we are.
This is it. I mean, I literally, when I'm driving around every day, I'll see like signs like Los Angeles, like going, like heading towards downtown. Yeah. I'm like, am I really looking at this? You know, like I catch myself reminding myself daily, because been here almost 3 months now, and definitely I'm much more comfortable now that I'm in my routine and I know kind of the streets and whatnot. But like, this is like where I live. This is not like a vacation. This is not an extended period of time I'm here. I currently am a resident of Los Angeles, California, with so much opportunities within the city. But I'm also forever grateful of growing up in a small suburban town, not as small as yours, but a suburban town, city, I should call it, not a town, that provided me like as a place to grow into who I was before. Because if I had grown up here, I'd be a different person.
100%.
But to like learn the values and the lessons I learned, and then to bring them out here, I'm much more ready to go. And like,
you want it just that much more.
Absolutely. I want even just as much, even more.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to high school, Manistee High School, obviously, but I went to Kendall College of Art and Design in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
That's where I 4-year
BA. School? Yeah. What was like the technical major that you had?
Digital media.
Okay.
And then I minored illustration, fine arts.
Damn, okay. Yeah. How was the education? Did you like it?
First 2 years were really cool.
Yeah.
Really technically sound.
Yeah. I feel like that's the first 2 years in any college. Yeah, you have to learn the basics.
You kind of get all the fundamentals, you know. All your Greg Popovich teachers, you know, coaching up the Spurs. Just get all the fundamentals. And then my junior and senior year, it was kind of, I enjoyed it a lot less, just because it felt like, you know, there wasn't the teaching had kind of stopped, and it was like you were kind of there to figure it out for yourself, which ended up being great, because it made me figure it, you know, it was another thing that kind of like, okay, like
here you go.
In 2 years, you're going to graduate, and realize that literally nothing's going to change for you unless you go out there and like you do it for yourself. Because the day you graduate, no one's running up to you with a fucking job.
Oh, they will literally walk you into that point when you get your diploma, and then it is completely on you to figure that out.
So for those 2 years, it was kind of like, okay, the teaching's done. I know I'm gonna get the projects done, but like let's figure it out so that way when I graduate, you know, it's wheels up already. Yeah. You know, I'm not having like the
what do I do?
The panic attack of I just graduated. What do I do?
Yep.
You know, I've already been doing it.
Yeah. How'd you set yourself up then?
So,
because you were clearly, I'm guessing while you were in school, you
working,
were doing other projects.
Yeah. I got a job, first as an intern and then employed at this place called Kush Design, which has nothing to do with marijuana.
Okay.
It's the last name of the guy who owned the company was Cushman.
Okay.
So
shout out to Cushman.
Yeah, shout out to Matt Cushman. You're probably gonna see this. You're the man. He kind of gave me gave me my first opportunity, kind of get my feet wet.
Okay.
Believed in me. You know, when I didn't even know what an invoice was.
Wow.
You know, he answered all those questions that I had. And so I worked there doing graphic design and patent illustration. I was doing illustrations for patents for different products. And
what exactly is that for people that might not exactly know what that is?
So whenever somebody designs a product or a shoe or whatever the case may be, if you're like on a certain level, you file a patent for that thing. So that way nobody can copy it.
Without your approval.
And basically profit off of the thing that you made. So they would file their patents for shoes or computers or whatever the case may be, and you had to draw all of those and then do call outs. So you would there's certain intricacies of the product, right? So the lawyer would outline, the attorney, whatever I don't know, it was a long time ago. Would outline all of the things about the product that had to be called out. And then they'd have descriptions of it, right? So such and such does this, part of the legal terminology of the patent. So you would have to draw the product from different angles, whatever, and call them out with figure A1, right? And it would call back to the thing.
Oh man.
So
pretty intense process. It sounds like
pretty intense process, pretty mind numbing. But it was a good entry and a good experience to have, and like I said, Mac was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, he was kind of the first person to take me under his wing, and then from there, you know, all the while doing my own thing, school, I started working as an independent contractor at Amway, which is a really huge company, nutrition company, kind of as a do-it-all, whatever they needed, I did it. I spent a lot of time running DP, cutting video,
cooking up,
graphic design, whatever they needed. It was me, this guy Chad Ritzema, another guy who I'm kind of forever indebted to, because I wasn't qualified.
Wow.
But I learned, I learned so much.
You learned the ways.
Yeah. And his brother Todd, we just kind of sat in they had this back room for us. Where all the video equipment was, but we just hid.
Put them back there and let them work.
It was they just go back in the creative solutions department, where we just kind of hid and cut video, and another great learning experience. So I just always had my feet on the ground, always wanting to learn. That was the other thing. I didn't really know where I was gonna go after school, but I knew I needed to figure something out, so I was jumping at every opportunity. It didn't matter what it was. I knew there was 1 degree of separation one way or the other to maybe whatever I would realize I wanted to do, that I was at least picking up all these different pieces of knowledge that I could apply to whatever it ended up being.
It's going to help you later at some point.
Yeah, somehow it'll splinter off. And I just kind of always understood that, so I just took the opportunities as they came, because I don't want to be a video. I didn't want to be a video editor. I didn't want to be a DP. But here I am, first day on the job with the big ass red.
Oh my god!
You're
gunning that around.
Yeah,
that's a real deal camera.
Mind you, I've not ever Done. I'm in a video editing class at the time, the night before going to the first day at Amway, YouTubing how to edit video and run these
Oh man.
Because I just wanted it. I just wanted to learn. And then, Amway, and then I started doing work with Ugly, which is Kyle's brother.
Yep.
Which kind of splintered off into the
how
next chapter of life.
Yeah. So talk to me about that, because you packed up everything, moved to LA, and if I'm wrong, tell me if I am, but you were literally sleeping on a floor.
Yeah.
Just to work with.
Them. Yeah.
With them.
I slept on Nolan's floor for definitely at least 2 weeks.
So,
at one point in time.
Okay. So how did this all stem?
So Twitter, man.
God bless
internet,
it.
Yeah. And fuck net neutrality. To just, man, stupid. But Twitter, I had an animation project that I had done super bad, and I have since deleted it from the internet. So
can't find it.
You won't find it.
Okay.
That I had on Twitter, and I'm never really on Twitter. I mean, I'm pretty bad at Instagram. You know, I don't post a lot on Instagram, and I was even worse at Twitter at the time. And I had posted like a short clip of that animation to my Twitter, and probably like 4 months later, it was still there.
Okay.
It was right at the top of the feed, the Twitter feed, and I had listened to one of Ugly's songs and just became a fan. Watched the video that Jacob Owens shot. I was a big fan of Jake at the time, and I was just like, again, I was like, what can I do?
Yeah.
Like
anything. I'll do anything.
Anything. Like what can I learn? And I found Ugly, and I just followed him on Twitter. And he saw that video that was just chilling there, and he was like, yo, let's work. Like, I was working on a music video, and I'm thinking like, okay, yeah. I'm down. I'm down. I don't really know how the
I got nothing else.
I don't really know how the fuck to shoot a music video, but I'm down.
Yeah.
And that actually ended up falling through, and he had a mixtape out at the time, and so I was like, well, he had a cover out, and it was like the whole, it was done, it was out.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I could make this tighter. So I redid it, and I sent it to him through the Twitter DMs, and I was like, I literally just sent it to him.
Nothing else.
And he
he loved it.
He loved it, and I started doing a bunch of merch for him. Designed his website, built his website, and then Nolan. And this is the other thing at the time. I didn't know that Ugly had any relation at all to Kyle, like none.
And you knew who Kyle was at the time.
Yeah, I knew who Kyle was at the time. Like I'm a music nerd, hip hop nerd. Like I try to keep up on everyone who's like,
you just keep an eye out.
Yeah, you just keep an eye out. No idea he's related to Kyle, like in any way, like at all. And Nolan finds out and hits me. It's like, who's this kid? Like,
so Nolan hits you up, and you don't see this coming.
No. And I find out by way of Nolan, obviously, like he manages Kyle and Chris Ugly, our brothers. I like what you're doing for Ugly. Like, you've got some stuff for Kyle if you want to work on it. And obviously, like, yeah,
I'll make time for that.
Massive, like, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
First of all, like, of course. And so started doing work for Kyle, probably like a junior in college at the time. And,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that just grew, and we continued to work on, everything. It was merch, then it was single covers, then it was album packaging, and then it was the website, and then it was and then my senior year, had never been, like I said, I'd never been to California, and I was like, okay, I'm like internet, I'm homies with these guys. I'm internet homies with these guys now, like. And we had kind of talked about me coming to LA and like visiting, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy a ticket and I'm coming. And it wasn't exactly like there was some planning involved.
Yeah. But there was still no like long term of what was gonna happen.
It was like,
I know these guys. I've been working with them.
Yeah, I'm buying a ticket and I'm gonna come out and let's work. So I slept on Nolan's floor, bought my ticket, flew out. That was probably like a week and a half, and that was my first LA experience, which was also, you want to talk about getting like the LA bug and like the music industry bug. In that week, probably like the second day I was there, we went to the Revels group through a holiday party, who, if you don't know who they are, that's Maddie B and Jamil and everyone associated with G-Eazy.
That was your second day.
That was like my second day. and like in the hills, like overlooking the city, like everyone was there. It was
you're like, I'm in.
Incredible.
This is where I need to be. This is where
like,
I need to be.
Yeah, I was like, this is it. Okay, like I get it. Went back, finished school, and then there was another instance where they flew me out to work on. We were working on Smile at the time, where they flew me out. And we put some work in, and I went back, finished school, and there's like this garage ish. You know, I mean, it's a garage. It's like a retrofitted like square. I mean, probably not that much bigger than this room. Mm-hmm. That opened up. And they moved me and my girl out to LA, work basically in exchange for the rent.
Wow.
And I mean, I miss it actually a lot. Living in I mean, slept on an air mattress for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, literally packed up everything. It's like everything that we needed, that was like an absolute need, left everything else in Michigan, packed up my girl's Pontiac G6.
And just said, we're going.
And did the 2,200 miles.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You got to jump on those opportunities. Yeah. And I think it's so funny how you were reaching out to Ugly just because, you know, you liked his work and you wanted to work with him. And then it stems to a bigger opportunity with Kyle through Nolan.
Yeah.
And then just taking like this leap of going out here and not knowing what's going to happen. And
no idea. And it was on like we might also be moving. So it's like a 6-month term kind of thing. Like you guys can come out and stay for 6 months.
We just don't know what's going to happen.
We just don't really know what's going to happen. We'll just put a lot of work in.
Yeah.
And did that. And then the 6 months turned into a year. And then at about a year and a half, I got hired by way of that, I got hired as a creative director at Indie Pop. So it was kind of just one thing after the other, but it was always like, I'm just doing this.
This is what I want to do.
This is what I want to do, and I don't know how it's going to pay off, but I believe that in somewhere it's going to.
I have so much to go from this. Indie Pop.
Yeah.
You're the creative director.
Yeah.
How has that experience been?
A great learning experience.
Yeah. What have you learned the most from it, I guess?
The more, I spent 2 years working really closely with Kyle.
Those are like that had to have been. It was like the last 2 years, probably. I'm guessing, right? Like
I've been at Indie Pop for 2.
Okay, so we're talking. Before that, it was those 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's like really good timing.
Yeah.
To work with him.
It was coming right off of Beautiful Loser.
Yep.
And he was picking up steam. Don't Want to Fall in Love was out, but like hadn't hit the radio yet. Mm-hmm. And we were just, every day, like cooking something up, like every day.
Yeah.
And that was really fun, and I missed that.
Yeah.
But that was one experience. I learned a lot from that, like being so close to the artist,
mm-hmm.
And understanding like the way they work, And that's not to say that I still, I deal with artists every day. There's like 16 artists signed to the management roster. And
16?
Yeah, and now counting with the record label.
Wow.
So you want to talk about being busy.
You got a lot.
And
you're the director of it, so you're not.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces moving. So I'm still dealing with artists every day. But I think the label side and like the more business side of the music industry is something I've learned a lot more of in being there, and also having more access to create
mm-hmm.
Has allowed for me to learn new things. It's one thing to like see a music video, but to understand everything that goes into like a $300,000 music video.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
There's a lot of moving pieces, and being on top of that, creatively, and working with so many different people who are also involved in the creative process, is a lot different than sitting with Nolan and Kyle in his bedroom, which they both have their pluses.
There's something about that grind, when you're in the early stages of the hunger.
Yeah.
being in the bedroom when you guys are just making use of what you have versus now having huge budgets. There's something about that hunger, you know?
Yeah.
Something about wanting it more. Yeah. And when you get to that level,
you just want it so bad.
Yeah, you're willing to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It you know, that's one thing I try to remind myself and to like almost like capture these moments in as I'm living my life, right? Of this want, you know, like if the success arrived at my door tomorrow, would I still have the same drive?
Yeah.
You know,
I also think like if it comes overnight, it's gonna leave overnight.
Yeah.
So I've also been like and still am like a super strong believer in like the long play. Like just keep working. Me too.
I just toss the ball and I keep going. I keep pumping out.
I'm a huge Johnny Depp fan, and he's like in one of his interviews, he was like, you know, at some point somebody's gonna throw you the ball. You just gotta be smart enough to catch it and keep running. And that I think that's totally what it is. Like see the opportunity, and once you get it, because a million people, literally so many people, you know,
are battling for it.
Would kill to be where you are. Like some kid watching this podcast is like, you know, I wish I was Bobby. Yeah. You know, and you got to understand that and like keep going, because you were lucky. You were lucky enough to put the work in and get the opportunity, and now it's like you owe it to yourself
to keep going.
Yeah.
And we have like these little minor successes along the way that I guess almost like inject us with this like pound of keep going, and then it slows down, and then you get something else, and you keep going. Yeah. There will be little episodes or guests that I get on, or just moments where I get emails or tweets or something, and I feel like I'm gonna prove the world wrong, and then a week later, you're just stuck in the grind of it. Yeah. I guess it's so easy to. How do I say this correctly? I don't want to say get comfortable, but it's easy totally to just get caught up in the, like the day-to-day of it.
Yeah.
You just see the big things that happen for people, and you're like, well, how did this happen? And you forget all of those little hours that they had put in with their head down.
It's really easy to get caught in that.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me. Like even recently, like you just kind of get caught in the trap of like going into the office. I'm working on all these projects. I know what's happening here. I know what's happening here. I know what's happening here. And you kind of get caught in the system of like being a workhorse, and you don't really step away from it enough to be like, I've almost done the same thing for the last 4 or 5 months, like, and reassess where you can take things, because that's the goal. Mm-hmm. You always want to like, the mountain's really big. Like you always want to keep taking those steps. And big Scooter Braun fan.
Huge.
And he talks about setting the goalposts, and I think that was something I didn't do until recently. Like I just now kind of like set out goals for myself. I've like I said earlier, like I've always just been a person to like see the opportunity and go, and just let that take me wherever it's gonna take me, and I'm still that way. Like I will take an opportunity if I think it's but I think now I'm at a point where it's like I gotta know where those goalposts are, to keep me going.
You want to have some track of where you're going, but know that there are going to be things that present themselves that you have no control over. You don't know when they're going to come knocking on your door.
Yeah, and be open to taking those things. But I think before I always operated from like a gray area, of like something's going to happen.
Yeah.
But don't know what.
Yeah.
And I think now it's really important for me to
you have those goalposts
to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
To know where I'm shooting.
But I even still do that every day. I try to remind myself that when I wake up that today could be the day.
Yeah.
I could get the text message. I could get a phone call. I could get an email. A piece of content that I post could just go viral.
Yeah.
Today is going to be the day. I try to act like and then from there just play the cards as they go and not get caught up in stressing it too much, because it is easy to get stressed when you're not getting the amount of plays you want. You're not getting the amount of love that you think it deserves, or there's just so many things that
for sure. And the world we live in today of like social media and feeling like you need immediate affirmation for everything you do.
Yep.
You
gotta let it sit.
You gotta let it. Yeah. Perception isn't reality.
Yeah. it's tough out here because everybody posts an IG pics and you think, and that's the other thing too is I've gotten better at is not getting caught up in other people's lives. You know, it's so easy to follow other people that are doing dope shit or that inspire you. But then if you're sitting there for hours just scrolling through their pictures and seeing who they're with and the parties that they're going to, you know, it's only going to hold you back from making 100%. Those steps forward, right? From putting in the work. I honestly did it right before you came here. I was going through somebody's Instagram, saw their story, looked at what they did, and I was like, I want to be there.
Yeah, and you like kind of like almost get down on yourself.
Yeah, because like, I'm like, why? I'm not shit compared to them.
Like what? What?
Yeah, but then it's also you can't. I don't know. I preach often to people what I try to push to myself. You know, I think sometimes people might see what I'm posting and think I'm the happiest kid alive, or you know, I live the dream, and I am. I'm happy as hell. I'm healthy. My family's good. I'm in the process of getting to where I want to be. You know, I'm in a good circle. I have all the right pieces of the puzzle moving, but just know that I'm just human like everybody else. You know, I want things fast. You know, sometimes I'm impatient with my own process.
Learning to embrace the journey and the process.
Yes.
That I think is the important thing and helps.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just get on social media.
Yeah.
Spend an hour looking at photos.
And be like, okay, what am I doing?
What am I doing? And then really, what are you doing? Because you just spent an hour looking at photos.
You just wasted an hour.
Yeah.
You could have drew an amazing picture, or I could have done some research on a podcast.
Yeah.
What's been one of the most emotional projects you've done in the last couple of years? So I'm not saying it's the best project or the number one or your favorite, but the most emotional for you, whether it was the end result of how well it did, or it could be the process that you went through to get that final product. I know you've done work with Kyle, Carnage, G-Eazy. I'm sure, I don't know who the 16 artists are that you guys work with.
Been behind a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most emotional and rewarding was working on Kyle Wait on Me. The song he wrote for his grandpa who passed away. And it kind of hit me pretty hard because I was really close with my grandpa, and he passed away when I was kind of young, but a massive role model to me. And I was still new to LA. I was still new to working with Kyle. I was still new to me and Kyle are close now, but at the time it was like he's Kyle.
Yeah.
And that it kind of just brought everything full circle to me, and I was like, man, like this is incredible, and I'm super happy to help you in something like this, because it just really paralleled like a lot of stuff that I felt like it happened to me.
Yeah.
And it was just a super rewarding thing, and I also remember like he at Snowball. I think it was Snowball. I think that's what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was like one of the first festivals he ever played, and he did Wait on Me, and I just remember like looking at him, and just even the emotion behind his like the way he was delivering everything he was doing. I was like, I mean, if I ever forget why I do what I do, it's like remember this moment, because I mean he was everything about that moment was so like pure, and I was like to be able to help somebody. And all I just contributed to like the design and the single cover and kind of the branding that surrounded it, but to just be a part of it and to see how it impacted him, and how in turn he's like impacting the crowd and giving all of these fans like that same outlet. It was like
you're still part of that, man.
Yeah, to just be a part of that.
Yeah,
it was like if I ever forget, it's moments like these, and I told him that I was like, man, it's moments like these that's why I do this.
Yeah.
Super like.
You don't have to be the guy. You don't have to be the guy on the stage, the one behind the microphone, the one that everybody knows. Yeah. You are still, like the direction, the art direction of it all. That still plays such an important role for that entire process, or even on the management side, or the people that are around you that bounce ideas. Yeah. These are all people that help your process and maybe don't get the credit they deserve, but at the same time, it is still a team thing. And
but just to be there for him, something that meant clearly so much to him, was awesome.
Music industry aside, why is design and creative direction important for brands?
Why is it important for brands? Man, good question.
That's a compliment. When people say that, that's a compliment to me. So good.
I think we live in an environment today where like it is such a need and an increasing need because there are so many platforms for your content that it can become a really convoluted place if you're not representing yourself in a way that's consistent and true and authentic to you. And I think figuring that out on like a base level and building that with legs and kind of in a way that's consistent and super authentic, you have to do that now. I don't even think I have to argue it's important so much as it's like, everybody kind of gets it. Not everybody necessarily understands what it is. But I mean, it's so important because it's everywhere. Yeah. Even your Purpose and Youth logo, like that's an icon. People are going to see that and immediately know what it's for. And you've done a great job of like, it's there. Yeah. It's on all these, and so people become accustomed to seeing that and they know immediately what it is. And it just becomes that much more digestible.
It's almost like an image that speaks thousands of words, right?
Yeah.
There's a meaning to it.
Yeah.
But it's obviously so important that
there's an intent there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about how you get to like developing a brand, I mean, it's all about the intent, and why, and how does this thing relate to this circle?
That's the full circle.
Yeah. Like how does everything fit together? I mean, I'm now watching Nolan's podcast. Like when he was talking, you asked him a similar question. I
did, and I'm so happy you just caught that because I was like searching on this earlier. I was like, is that actually the same question? But it's not, because branding is different than art direction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think even further than that, I think brand is different than branding, and that's always an interesting thing for me to hear people talk about, because I think you have your brand and you have the things that you stand for and the things that you believe in and the things that make you on like a people level and like a human level, and the branding is all of the visuals and everything that encapsulates that and brings that in a digestible way to people who aren't going to see your face or hear you speak, but they're still going to get everything that you are from what they're seeing. And I think that's the branding side of it.
I like that.
So kind of those two things, and I don't even remember what the question was.
No, I mean, that pretty much nailed it. It was just more of like, why is design and creative direction important? But you just pretty much nailed it. Like, everybody kind of, I think, understands they have to do it nowadays, but there needs to be like a purpose to why everything is the way it is, the design, the coloring,
because it is you.
Yeah.
It is you. It's the translation of your brand into visuals. So that way, people,
they see it. They're like, I know what this is all about.
And it's like that with like the I remember Nolan talking about like the pinks and the blues, and I mean, that was like a super conscious decision on our part. Like that was stuff that Kyle and Brick were just naturally rocking. And we were like, I mean, we could do a lot of things right now, but I think the most important thing we could do is like when we're picking these colors for the brand that we're just going to start putting everywhere, that we need to be the most authentic to who they are and the things that they're doing.
And those were
as
the colors.
we can, and those were the colors, and it didn't matter that they weren't cool at the time.
Now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
All those colors are absolutely everywhere. Yeah. What is something you've learned, because we're about to hit a new year. It's about to be 2018. It's very close. Yeah. What's something that you've learned in the past 12 months that you plan to incorporate into this new year?
Be happy more. Be like genuinely happy. Have more genuine interaction with people. Be happy more and embrace those interactions. I just recently got pretty sick. Had cancer, for anyone who doesn't know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Coming off that as of last month and a half. And you want to talk about like a real like set a time of self-reflection that'll get you. And really just reassessing the things that are important and putting a focus on those in 2018.
Yeah.
The things that really make you happy, those interactions with people.
I got to ask now, how did you figure this out? What stage?
So I had what's called an adrenal neuroblastoma, which is super, 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 super rare, and even more rare in someone my age. Usually only happens to people like 10 and under.
Okay.
And I'm also really, really lucky that they caught it, because usually in adults, if you get it, they don't usually catch it until it's too late. And it's really rare, so they don't know much about it. I was having stomach issues at the time, which come to find out ended up being related a lot more to stress and anxiety than the issue.
Okay.
But through that, did a bunch of things, and they put me on medicine that just wasn't working. And it kind of got to a point where it was like, okay, nothing's working. It's definitely like stress and anxiety. Like, you just need to calm down.
Just calm down, relax a little bit.
Chill your life out a little bit. Stop working so much. But let's go do this ultrasound to like
just check,
put everything at peace.
Yep.
Did the ultrasound. 4 hours later, my doctor calls me, and that's not ever a good idea. Like,
no, if they're calling you, it's always a red flag.
Yeah, you want to like wait to see them at the follow-up appointment because it was chill. 4 hours after getting the ultrasound, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, not bad, but not good. There's a 6. What did he say? 4 at the time. He was like, there's a 4-centimeter lesion on your liver. Blah 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 blah. We gotta it's not something we can ignore. It's not it's very likely not the cause of your symptoms, but it's something we have to address now." Went and did an MRI. Ended up thankfully not being on my liver, which would have been a totally, I mean, I guess an equally as bad situation, but would have been a bad situation. Ended up not being on my liver, being on my adrenal gland, which is right above your kidney. And so did that MRI, found that out, and then had to go see another doctor, like a specialist, and did that whole thing and did the CT scans, and it was also a crazy experience because it went from one extreme to the total other. Like when I first found out, they call it a lesion to not scare you, but what it is a tumor. And to find out, like, you're 24, a tumor on your adrenal gland, although not ideal, is actually pretty common at someone your age. Statistically, it's almost impossible for it to be cancer. It's benign, but given its size, we have to remove it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of went like a month and a half of like, I did the CT 11 days before my surgery, and at the CT, the MRI said it was 5 centimeters, and the CT said it was 5.5 centimeters. So obviously it's growing,
yeah.
And so they moved my surgery up, but everyone's still remaining positive, and I get the surgery, and you come out of surgery and you're all hopped up, so you can't like talk to the doctor. So luckily, my girlfriend was there, love her to death. She was there the whole time. Talked to the doctor, and like when I woke up, she like told me everything that the doctor said, and like everything was good. He the surgery went exactly how he wanted to. He got everything out, pulled the tissue from around it. My lymphatic system was fine. My spine was fine. Like everything was good, but the tumor actually ended up being 8 centimeters. Which is really big. And
it was just 5.5.
And it was just 5.5. Which the thing literally, like, we got it, again, knock on wood, got it right before it probably started to get really, really bad.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Be happy.
Yeah. Be happy. Be thankful for what you have, and embrace those interactions with people. Have genuine relationships with people, your friends, your family, because really none of this shit matters. It really doesn't. Like, you do these things and you do these things that we've been talking about, like, put your head down, work really hard, follow your dreams, and do that. because you owe that to yourself. Like
you have to
do that, but also be really conscious of like the things that you're doing it for. You know,
there's got to be purpose behind it.
There's got to be purpose behind it. You've got to have a reason for doing it, for family, for friends. Because I think, and myself included, you kind of like, you maybe start doing it because you want all this success and you want all this money, you want the big house, the fancy car, and you kind of realize like that's really not what, like you're doing it, to be happy. You like, the goal just needs to be happy. Be doing the things that are making you happy, because that's like the actual value. Like that's what, if you're gonna be rich, that should be your goal. You should be rich, on those experiences, on life, on being happy. Yeah.
Damn, man. That's some serious stuff, man.
Caught you off guard.
Yeah. You know what? I do as much research as I can, and maybe there isn't anything out there. Maybe I overlooked. I don't know, man. But that's serious stuff, man.
Yeah.
But
crazy process, but I'm happy. Basically getting scanned for the rest of my life now.
Yeah.
Catch it early if it ever comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, got really lucky.
It's good to see that, obviously you're getting out of this fine and you're good and you're healthy, but always finding like a positive in every negative situation.
Yeah.
Finding something that you can shine light on, that if this never happened, maybe going into 2018, you would have said work harder. Yeah, I just want to work harder.
Which I'm not gonna lie to you. Is honestly the truth is to work harder than I did.
Absolutely.
But I think you can work harder in a different way. I mean, I think growing up, you always hear like the adage, like don't burn the candle at both ends. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that. And I think there's just, you can, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
You can get more done than you maybe even were doing. Like you can quote unquote be working harder, but there's just a better way of going about it.
Yeah.
In a way that is like healthier.
Yeah. Physically
and mentally, that will yield even better results. You just can't burn it at both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough stuff, man.
Yeah.
What do you do? A couple more questions before we get into like the closing. What do you do on your day-to-day that helps you grow? Are you a morning person? Do you have a morning routine?
Yeah, I'm a morning person after I have my coffee.
Okay. It's the first thing I have every day.
Yeah, every day. Wake up, have my coffee, go into the office, check my emails. The pretty typical things. Going, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, go to the gym.
Mm-hmm. Pumping the big iron.
Yeah, no, bro, you see me. I'm not doing that. I'm hopping on the treadmill and just
I love it.
Keeping that conditioning
I love it.
Yeah, I won't say anything too out of the ordinary, but I'm definitely a morning person. I'm up early. I'm to bed late. I mean, not to bed late. I'm to bed early.
Mm-hmm.
Up early, bed early.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just keep cycling.
Just keep
it moving.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. What's your purpose? What's Scoobs' purpose?
Purpose. I think to help people realize their visions. I think that's what I'm really good at and what I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
Have a difference between art and design, right? They're two different things. Art is self-expression, design is a service. And I think I really enjoy the service. Like I enjoy helping people.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing, again, like what's actually important. Like how can I, beyond the music industry, beyond design, like how can I actually make an impact?
Mm-hmm.
And it's through, through helping other people, and I'm still learning even better ways of doing that.
Yeah.
But I've realized that is why I definitely enjoy what I do. I have a really hard time making for me, but I have a really easy time making for others.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all want to help other people, right? Sometimes you don't want to give yourself the credit you deserve, or put more time towards you. You want to be helping others.
Yeah.
This one I reverse the role. Allow you to ask any one question. It could be any question about something we talked about today. 2 rules that I'm now incorporating into this.
Okay.
1, it cannot be on the podcast.
Cannot be on the podcast.
Yep.
Okay.
It cannot be about like purpose in the youth.
Got it.
And 2, it can't be a question that I asked you today.
Okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received. That's a good one. You know what's funny? I ask questions to people, and I ask myself sometimes, how would I even answer this question? Because I don't know. Yeah. And I asked this. This is a recent question I asked somebody.
Damn it.
But
I wanted to be first.
No. I haven't. Okay. I haven't been asked this. Nobody's asked me this.
Okay.
So this is new, man. Me talking right now. I'm just buying myself time trying to think this out. The best advice I've ever received. I think it was from my father or my mother. I can't say who said it.
Yeah.
But it's one thing that's always stuck with me is that no matter what you do, I think it was my father. I'll give my father the credit on this one. No matter what you do, as long as you love it, I'll support you. And that kept coming in my head when I was a year out from graduating college, when we were talking about before we started the podcast. That kept repeating itself in my head. Don't chase the money. Like, just find something you really, really want to do. And that's always stayed with me. Yeah. The money will find its way. We all have to pay bills.
Exactly.
We all want new jackets and clothes. Like, we always want things. But if you're not actually enjoying the process of making that money to buy those things, what's the purpose?
Man, yeah.
What's the actual purpose? Yeah. And had I never ever received that advice, I don't know. Would I be here? Would I be doing the podcast? Would I have taken that leap in the first place of trying to push myself? Yeah. Would I have just tossed in a towel and said, this is what everyone else is doing, this is what I need to do? Yeah. Or would I've, like I went a different path. And that just stays with me though. Man.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to think about. Especially, I mean, you talked about me moving, but Boston's even more east than Michigan is.
We drove through Michigan real quick when we were coming out here.
You gotta have being confident for sure.
Yeah.
It's gotta get instilled in you somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes. My mother always says, no, my father once again said, sorry, I'm gonna quote him twice. He would always say, you have your mother's brain, but you have my personality, and that for sure. He couldn't have said it any better. Yeah. I had, my mom, I guess she's the one that's always been like the financer, and she's always figured things out. But at the end of the day, my father's always had that personality. I think both of which have built into me my confidence and my ability to just keep pushing forward. Yeah. Without doesn't matter what people are saying or if I have 100 people pushing me to keep going, as long as I have like a couple people that are there to support it, then I continue to push.
And I think the important thing is that you're doing it for you. You're doing it because it's what you enjoy doing.
Yeah,
it's what makes you happy. When you wake up in the morning, it's like what makes you want to get up.
Yeah,
and I think if you've been lucky enough to find that, I mean, that's all.
Yeah,
that's all you can hope for.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not easy. I know for a lot of people because I didn't have that until I turned 22 until I realized really at 23, like this is what I need to do and I just need to keep going. Yeah. And I just haven't stopped. Closing questions. I want you to imagine there's a picture frame on the wall. Yeah. Imaginary picture frame. 10 years from now, what and who do we see in that picture frame? you know what's going on. What's going on.
I've actually been thinking about it and it's really hard. I mean, me, my family, mom, sisters, girlfriend, hopefully I have a dog, on a porch somewhere, just genuinely enjoying life.
Yeah.
I think if you would have asked me that question 6 months ago, it would have been a very different answer. It would have been me in my office with the 10 Grammys I've won for album art direction. That's honestly probably the answer I would have said. I still want those things.
Yeah.
But what would make me really happy in 10 years if there was a picture in a picture frame, it would just be me and my family happy.
Yeah.
Genuinely, all smiles on our faces, just enjoying each other's company.
Just happy as can be.
Just on a porch somewhere. Yeah.
That's important, man.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Scoobs Supply. Twitter at the same handle, but don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time. You're not tweeting?
Yeah. Instagram. I mean, if you want to hit me, I'm definitely on social media at Scoobs Supply on Instagram. That would be where or message me.
Before I ask the last question, I don't know how I overlooked this, but where did you get Scoobs Supply from?
Okay, so Scoobs is I grew up. I mean, it's not a stretch I think you could probably guess where the name came from.
Of course.
Grew up loving cartoons, still love cartoons.
Okay.
Watched a lot of Scooby-Doo when I was a kid.
Yeah, I knew that was the stem, but why make this your brand?
It's what my mom called me. It was her nickname for me when I was growing up, and when I kind of made the move, you move 2,200 miles from home, you kind of want to bring a little bit of that with you.
I like it.
So I made the change, and it's stickier.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, at the first couple days I was in LA and they took me to that party, I realized, like, man, if I shake anyone's hand here and I introduce myself as Alex Tomaszewski,
they're like, what?
Like, cool, and they won't remember the Alex they met last night, but they might remember the kid who introduced himself as Scoobs.
Yeah.
And then from a visual standpoint, it looks good. It's symmetrical.
I love it.
S on both sides.
Love it. I just had to make sure we got that on the actual podcast. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Man,
I really appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Honored.
man. I appreciate the support, as I said, and just opening up on things like you did. Like that is much appreciated. Last question.
Yeah.
What 2 to 3 pieces of advice would you give to somebody that is trying to find their passion or trying to find their purpose and hasn't necessarily found it just yet?
I would say think about the things that you really enjoy doing. Be willing to learn. Want to learn. And work really hard. So kind of figure out what it is that you really enjoy doing and what you like doing. Learn everything you absolutely can about it. And once you've done that, you've probably figured out a way to make money somehow, to pay your bills doing that thing that you love, and then work really hard at it.
And don't stop. Can't stop.
Yeah.
Scoobs,
my man.
Thank you for coming on the podcast today, man.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe below so you can stay up to date with your favorite being a man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay, as we're dropping videos all the time. This is the Purpose in Youth podcast. Thank you for watching.